What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Inferno here, and I'm checking in once again with yet another tutorial. Yes, sir. So in this tutorial, I'm going to teach you guys how I was able to achieve this nice piece I have on display. So without much ado, let's get to business. So we are going to first start with the creation of our canvas. So you go to File on the menu bar and the rest would follow. Good. So File, New, and then in here we are going to make sure that we change our unit of measurement from pixels to inches, and then we input our value. So we just click to highlight and then 5, then you click here 7. So width is 5 inches, height is 7 inches respectively. Okay, very good. Color mode is RGB color. Profile is Adobe RGB, and then resolution is on 300 dpi. Very, very important, so take notes. Okay, so I'll go to create, and there we go. So per the brief that I was given by the client, I was supposed to create a vibrant artwork for this youth program, and then even though I was given a color range, I was told to experiment with the color range that I was given to achieve something vibrant and something more aesthetically pleasing to the eye. So that was what I did with this particular artwork. So let's move. So what I did was I created, instead of doing the normal background stuff, I just created a rectangle shape, and I used that rectangle shape to be, or I used that rectangle as my base background layer, and then I arranged all the other elements on it. Okay, good. So this is what I did. I selected the rectangle tool here, and then I changed the color, the fill to this. Okay, then I created a new layer, then selected the rectangle tool again, and then just left click and drag like so and move. So just by the way, I am on Mac, so sometimes I'll be saying the key combinations for Mac and Windows, so please bear with me. Okay, good. So I've created my rectangle shape. I'll just press V for the move to, and I use the arrow keys to reposition it like so. Okay, so I have my base, and then I moved forward with my title design. So I created a new layer, T for the type tool, this tool here, and then left click. So I typed national. Okay, national, enter, youth, like so. Okay, so you see the national is kind of lengthy, and then because the youth is also short, it is giving us this balance issues. So for us to make sure that everything is balanced, you have to increase the size of the youth and then reduce the size of the longer text, that is national, so that we get this balance. Okay, besides, the youth is a significant thing. Okay, so the youth has to become big, and if the national becomes small, there are no issues. Okay, good. So control, just drag over, no control, just drag over the youth, and then increase the size of the youth from here. Okay, like so, something like this. Okay, press Ctrl A to select everything, and then click here, and then increase the line spacing or the tracking like so, and then click here, and then change the font from Montserrat to Asteady. Okay, so Asteady, like so, Asteady Victoire bold, and you register action, press Ctrl T and increase the font. Just left click and drag, okay, to your right hand side to increase the font size, and then move it here. Okay, register action like so, and then reduce the line spacing or the tracking. V for the move to hold command or hold Alt or Option on Mac. So Alt on Windows and Option on Mac, and left click and drag like so to create a duplicate. Double click and press and hold Control and A, or Command and A on Mac to select everything. Type 2026. So the year and then the event. Okay, Control A, reduce the font size and change the font to your preferred font. Okay, change the font to your preferred look. Okay, very good. So I'm going to change it from Aesthetic Victoire to Famous College. Okay, like so, Famous College, and then register action, and then left click and drag it. Okay, just left click and drag like so, and then create a new layer. U for the rectangle 2, right click on it and then select line 2. Okay, click here, disable the fill like so, click here and change the fill color to white and click here. So just hold shift, left click and drag like so. Okay, D for the move to, and then the position like so. Okay, and then increase the thickness of the stroke like this. So here, so 3, okay, 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, so use increments to increase it. Press Command J or Control J on Windows to duplicate, and use the arrow keys to reposition like so. Okay, select the first one, press A for the direct select to, and drag over this point, and use the arrow key to move it, to distort it like so. Okay, V for the move to, hold Control or Command on Mac, Control on Windows, Command on Mac, and left click to select this one. Control on Windows RG, Command on Mac RG, and Command T for the transform bounding box, or Control T on Windows, and then I think, yeah, just register, everything is fine. So Command J to create a duplicate, or Control J to create a duplicate, and the Command T to bring the transform bounding box on the newly copied layer. Right click on it and then go to flip horizontal. Okay, so that you flip it this way. Okay, very good. Register action, add shift to the arrow key and then move it like so. Okay, to give you this kind of effect. Okay, good. So we have 2 duplicates, and then we have flipped one, and then one is in its natural state. So we are left with the next one. Just left click, you just hold Alt on Windows and drag, or Option on Mac and drag like so, left click and drag. Okay, and then release everything. Double click and type convention like so. Okay, press Ctrl A on Windows, Command A on Mac to select everything. Reduce the font size and change the font from Aesthetic to Axitac. Okay, the X is 1, so Axitac like so. Okay, very good. If you have caps on, disable it before you type. So Shift C, and then the rest you release Shift, and then you type convention. Control A, you come in here, you click on this, you disable this so that you get this, and then you increase the font size like so. Hope you are following. Great. So move it like so, and then for the effect that I want to achieve, I have to distort it for it to look nice. Okay, for the outcome that I intend to achieve. So the UFO, okay, stuff. So we just press Ctrl T, and then right click and go to Skew. Okay, and then see, it is a youth convention artwork that we are working. It is for the youth. So for the youth, you can experiment with stuff. Okay, it is not too formal. Okay, good. So Ctrl T after skewing, press Ctrl T or Command T on Mac, and then reduce the font size like so. And then register action like this. So what I did afterwards was I created these lines, one here and then one there. Okay, I did that with my tablet using the brush tool. So B for the brush tool, and I reduce the font size like so. This is too big. I went in for the hard one brush. Okay, reduce the brush size, the bracket key that comes right after the P key on the keyboard. Okay, like that. Okay, and I use this color. Let me swap switching between my background and foreground colors with X. Now click on this and then I will change the color. So this is the color I used, okay, something like so. And then I click there to get an expanded brush view, and then I did some few edits over there, okay. So in here, shape dynamics, I clicked on shape dynamics and then I changed this to pen pressure, like so. And I just like that, Command Z. So opacity should be 100%, like so, okay. Now I just use a tablet, okay, to just create something like this. Okay, so like this first, and created a new layer, okay. Then the other one too was like this, okay. Like that, okay. This is just a rough sketch, okay. V for the move to, and control and then left click and drag to this place, okay. Move it up. Select the first one, okay. Control or command on Mac and then move it down, like so, okay. Convert each of them to a smart object. So this one to a smart object, convert, Command T, okay, and then like that, okay. So just convert it to a smart object and then you just left click and drag it downwards to reduce the size, like so. And the same applies to this. Convert it to a smart object first, Command T or Control T on Windows and reduce the size, like so, okay. Something like that. Move this one here, move this one downwards, like so, okay. Like that, okay. Very good. Double click on this and change the color to F2, 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 like so, okay. So it is not fully white, okay, not fully white. And then just go to okay. Do the same for this. Click F2, 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 okay. We are doing this for a reason that I'll later show you guys, okay. Very good. So just double click on these two and then F2, 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 like so, and then you go to okay. So we are through with our initial phase for our title design. So we are going to group all of them so that later on we can just adjust everything together. Okay, because currently they are all on their separate layers. Okay, that is going to make movement difficult. Okay, very good. So I'll just so I'll click here, scroll up, hold shift, click this one to select everything, and then Command G or Control G on Windows to group them, like so. Double click and name them title, like so. And then let's start importing our images. So I'll come here and then keep my resources folder here. Okay, so I'll first start with this, drag it inwards, like so. Okay, Control minus or Command minus on Mac, right click on it and then go to convert to smart object, Command T on Mac, Control T on Windows, and reduce the font size, like so. Okay, reduce the size of the image, like so. Okay. So we are going to be importing our images just like that, and then I'm quickly going to do that and then we'll get back and then we continue. Okay, good. So we are going to arrange them just as our client gave us in the brief. Okay, so don't just do any arrangement, just follow the brief. Okay, very good. Okay, good. So just like that, we have our images laid out on our canvas. So this is the time where we try to further abide by the brief. Okay, so when you're designing church flyers, we have ministers that have higher ranks as compared to some ministers on the same flyer. So you make sure that you abide by those ranks and all those things when you are arranging your subject, so that you don't end up being questioned on why this subject is bigger than this or why the subject is smaller than this because of rank. Okay, so the bigger the subject, the bigger or the higher the person's rank. Okay, so that is going to translate into this particular or this particular arrangement that I'm going to do right after this. Okay, all right, let's go. So I'm going to place some underneath others just to make sure that the rank, okay, like so. So these two are highly ranked, okay, as compared to these ones, okay. So they would be here. Now I would reduce the image of this subject, Control T or Command T on Mac, right click and go to flip horizontal, okay. I just want to get this kind of, this subject is looking here and that subject is looking there, okay, to give this kind of nice, okay, all right, all in line with the brief, and then ranks, and now go to OK. Select this, Command T or Control T on Windows, right click and then go to flip horizontal like so, okay, just like that. Select this, move this one here, and Command T or Control T on Windows, left click and drag like so, okay. Select this and move it here, Command T on Mac, Control T on Windows, right click and then reverse, flip horizontal, scale it down like so, okay, just like that. Okay, this is what we intend to achieve. Okay, very good. So you move this upwards like so. Select this, Control T or Command T on Mac, and reduce the size of this image as well a little bit. Okay, move this here, then Command T, reduce the size of this one. Okay, and select this, Command T, increase the size a bit. Okay, so we are trying to achieve what we were given, okay, by layering our images, okay, all right, based on rank. So just increase this like so, and then you right click on our title, and our title is very big, so reduce the size of our title. Okay, Control T or Command T or Mac and reduce the size of our title like so. Move it here. Our subject, okay, select it, Command T, reduce the size like so, okay. Maybe select the title, right click on it, select title, and move it downwards like so, okay, like that. Move this here a bit, and this one to Command T, increase the size a bit like so, okay, and this one to like that, increase the size a bit, okay, like that. And you can see, just as you can see, this subject is looking here, but this subject is also looking there. So what I did was just Command T, I'll click on it and then press Command T, Control T on Windows. Now I'll flip it, okay. All right, so just right click and then flip horizontal like that. You see it is now in line and like that. And these ones, just move them a bit here, and this one to Command T, try to increase the size because he's a pastor, so just increase the size like so, okay, just like that, okay. Then we will start to import our background assets. Okay, we have two background assets layered on top of each other, so I'm going to import those backgrounds, okay. come in here, and then the first background I set is going to be this. So drag it in there, yellows, and there we go. So just left click and import it, go to OK, and then you move it to make sure that you move it underneath all the image layers. So just left click and drag it downwards like so, and then position it like so. Okay, and then press and hold Control Alt G on Windows. On Mac it's Command Alt G, okay, to clip mask our image on top of this rectangle, okay, so that it fills the rectangle frame. Okay, good. So Command T, and okay, so it's going to fill the rectangle frame, and then no matter how you scale it, it is still going to be there. It is still going to be inside the rectangle frame. Just that all the other areas that are outside the areas occupied by the rectangle area, okay, wouldn't be visible, just as you can see. See, all these areas are not visible because they are outside the frame of the rectangle that our image has been clipped onto. Okay, we like it that way. Okay, all right. So just left click and drag it upwards, left click and drag it downwards, reposition like so. Okay, so you are going to reposition so it meets our look. So something like this, move it downwards, okay, like so. Now looking okay. All right, register action, G for the spot healing brush, and then just, okay, left click, left click, left click, left click, okay, left click. Okay, this is the spot healing brush. So just left click, left click, left click and drag, okay, to do away with lengthy areas of kind of assets that you don't like. Okay, so I've already removed most of them, and let me proceed with the introduction of the second background as well. Okay, all right. So in here, I think I'm going to close this. I'm going to introduce the second background like so. Okay, so there we go. So I'm quickly going to import it by left clicking and dragging it in here. I'm going to OK. So you see that because we have not clipped it onto the rectangle frame, all these areas are visible. Why? Because they are freely on their layer, and then that particular layer that they are on is on top of the rectangle layer. Okay, so for all these areas to become hidden, okay, and only the areas of this image that become visible afterwards to be inside this rectangle, we have to reposition our image and then clip it onto the rectangle. Okay, so we are going to do it like so. Move it here, and then Command T or Control T on Windows, increase the size of our image by left clicking and dragging like so, okay, registering our action, and then holding Control Alt G on Windows or Command Option G on Mac to get this effect. So all these areas that are outside, okay, the rectangle frame are not going to be visible. Okay, all these areas of this newly attached image, okay, that are here wouldn't be visible because they are outside the rectangle frame. Okay, very good. That is one of the benefits of clip masking. Can achieve some awesome effect with it. So I would add a layer mask real quick, and then I would B for the brush to increase the size, okay, of the brush with the bracket keys that come next after the P key on the keyboard, or by doing it here. Okay, all right, going for soft round brush, and then increase it a bit, and then apply. Okay, like so. Okay, let's reduce opacity to somewhere around 56 so that the application becomes subtle. Okay, good. So I would just do away with these areas a bit. Okay, and then I will start doing some stuff. Okay, these stuff here. Okay, I will start working on them. So I'll move these ones down, these images down a bit. Okay, Then I'll come in here. Then B for the brush tool. Click here, select this, and then just left click, okay, like so, to apply the brush. Okay, Command J or Control J on Windows and move it here. Command T or Control T on Windows and Command T on Mac, Control T on Windows, then increase the size like so. Okay, Command J or Control J, then move it here like so. Command T or Control T on Windows, like so. Okay, then create a new layer, B for the brush tool, and apply the same white color here, like so. Okay, alright. So you see our images look more sharper, okay, in here than here. Okay, this is what I did. Okay, I selected each and every layer, then I added a gradient map adjustment, and then I worked on it further to achieve those effects. Okay, that's how I was able to do that. Created a new layer, gradient map, and then clipped it. Make sure that my gradient map layer is clipped on this subject so that everything affects just this subject. So Control Alt G or Command Alt G on Mac, Command Option G on Mac, and then click on the gradient map. Click here, change the colors. Okay, just left click. Okay, left click, change, so black and white. Okay, like so, and change blending mode to soft light. Okay, select our subject, come to image adjustment and shadows and highlights, like so. Okay, increase the tone. Okay, increase the amount slightly, reduce the tone somewhere like so. Okay, all right, and copy the gradient map adjustment and then apply it to others. Okay, so Command C or Control C on Windows, select this. Okay, and Command V, and then clip mask it. Okay, Control Alt G or Command Option G on Mac, select this, image adjustment, shadows and highlights. Okay, like so, increase the tone and increase the amounts. Okay, increase the tone somewhere like so, like that, and then select this. You see our copied gradient map adjustment is already on our clipboard. So all that we are going to do is be pasting, okay, and applying it on the other layers. You're going to have no issues, okay, doing that. Good. So I'll select this image too as well and Command V to paste, and I will clip mask, and then the rest will follow. Okay. So Command Option G or Control Alt G on Windows, and select the subject and image adjustment, shadows and highlights, and like that. Okay, like that. Select this. Okay, Command V or Control V on Windows, Command Option G to clip mask, or Control Alt G on Windows to clip mask. Select our subject. Okay, this time around reduce the color because the image is already colorful, and the shadows and highlight adjustment always adds color, so you have to reduce the color for some of the images. Okay, all right, so this is one of the examples. So I'll just go to -11 like so, then I'll go to OK. So I'll select this image too as well, Command V and Control Alt G or Command Option G on Mac. Select our image adjustment, shadows and highlights, like so. Okay, like so. Okay. All right. To select this image, and then we reduce the intensity of the gradient map like so. Okay. All right. So just as you can see, this image here is more yellow. The face of our subject here is more yellow, more yellowish as compared to the one here. Okay, I'm going to do the adjustment shortly. Okay. All right. So I just come in here. Okay, and then I would create my color balance. Okay, so color balance. Okay, it is going to be underneath the gradient map, so just drag it on top of the gradient map like so, and then so that everything affects, like the adjustment that you are going to make affects both the gradient map and the image, but not just the image. Okay, so if it falls in between the image and then the gradient map is going to affect the adjustment. Okay, so you drag the adjustment on top of the gradient map so that the adjustment affects everything. Okay, and becomes affected by nothing because nothing is on top of it. Okay, all right. So I would add more yellows. Okay, more yellows like so. Okay. So shadows and highlights to, okay, like that. Okay. Add some more yellows. Then I'll reduce the effect of the gradient map here like so. Okay. Like that. Okay. Alright. So this is the color balance. You see that it's affecting everything. So I'm going to use the layer mask here to make sure that the color balance, the yellow color balance affects just the face of our subject. Okay, by doing away with these areas. Okay, inside the layer mask of the color balance adjustment layer. Okay, all right. So I'll select the layer mask, and I would make sure that I have black selected because black hides on layer mask and white reveals. Okay, it's currently white, so I would apply black. So I just press B for the brush to, and then going for 100%. This is my round for opacity. Reduce the brush size from here. Okay, or with the two bracket keys that come right after the P key on the keyboard. Okay, the first one reduces the size, the second one increases the size. Then apply black like so. So you can zoom in with Option space, okay, or Control, Alt space or Control space on Windows. Just zoom. You can zoom in with the zoom tool here, okay. And then apply. Okay. Reduce the brush size as you apply. So we are gradually getting there. Okay, we are gradually getting there. Just apply. Okay, just like that. Okay. There are a lot of yellows in his head too, so we can also reduce that by just applying. Okay, applying black on his hair. Because sometimes some of your images might require you to do stuff like this. Okay, all right. So that is the base layer, and like so. Okay, all right. So I selected our layer, and then you see our title is not that visible because they just have a lot of elements over here. Our subject has a lot of lines, sharp lines running through his suit, so we have to kind of make those areas a bit softer so that our subject becomes visible. So this is what we are going to do. We select our layer like so, and then we add a new layer by clicking here and then drag it on top of everything. Okay, G for the gradient to switching between the background and foreground with X, and left click and drag like so. Okay, double click on it, then come to color overlay and select this color. Okay, OB2A51. Okay, like so. Go to OK, Command T, move it up like so. Okay, very good. So let's select this, okay, title, double click on it, and then go to satin, okay, and apply these adjustments. Okay, 50 for distance, size is 147, multiply for blend mode, and this particular one for your contour. Okay, and go to OK. Just press Command G to group it, cascade it by clicking on this. Click here to create a new layer. On top, hold Control, press and hold Command Alt G, so Control Alt G on Windows, and M for the marquee to right click on it and select the elliptical marquee, and then M to make sure that it's selected, and then just hold, just left click and drag to create this. Okay, switching between the background and then the foreground colors with X. Okay, and change this color from, it is already white. Okay, so just hold down, Option delete, okay, or Alt delete, okay, on Windows, or Alt backspace on Windows to fill our selection with white. Okay, it is Alt backspace on Windows and Option delete on Mac. Just like that. Okay, very good. Zoom in. Okay, you can use the zoom to zoom in and get here. Okay, and when you come here, we have this. Okay, this effect. Okay, this is what I did. So in here, I just expanded my layer, double clicked on it like so, and then in here I added stroke. Okay, so the stroke was 1. Okay, stroke width was 1, and yeah, I think the 1 or yeah, something like that. Yeah, just yeah, it was inside, and then here I chose kerning. Okay, I chose -40, so -40 like so. Okay, and the stroke 2 is on, okay, 3. We're leaving on 3 like so. Okay, very good. Command 0 to fit, just like that. Okay, so you right click on it, select title to select everything, and move it downwards like so. Okay, all right. Okay, so we have this, okay, this gradient fill over here. So I'll select this, and I will sample the color with the eyedropper to shortcut is I. Go to current layer, then select this, sample this one. Okay, come in here and then select our, just click here to select these, any of these background images. Create a new layer and drag it on top. Okay, G for the gradient to, and we are going to apply the color that we sampled. Okay, very good. So just shift left click and drag like so. Okay, Command T, move it up, hold shift to constrain like so. Okay, register, and you see all these places are becoming filled with the application, the blue application that we just, the blue gradient application that we just did. Okay, and we don't like that. So let's add a mask, and then B for the brush to increase the size, okay, of the brush, then apply it over here to do away with all those areas, like so. Okay, just like that. Okay, select this, V for the brush to reduce the opacity and apply it a bit, like so. Okay, see that? Alright, and then yes, you're almost through, so you just do some fading, apply layer mask, and then you fade. So you would apply a layer mask and we fade the unders of our images, okay, to make them look kind of seamless. Okay, so you select this image and then click on this layer mask, B for the brush tool, and then you fade the bottom part of the image, okay, like so. Okay, you do the same for this image, add the layer mask, okay, left click on it to add, okay, and then B for the brush tool, and okay, like so. Okay, very good, like that. And when I was through with that too, I created a new layer. Okay, click on this, click here, then I pressed U for the shape to right click on it and then selected rectangle 2, and then I was switching between my background, I think the foreground color looks good, so there's no need for me to, okay, there is no need for me to switch. Okay, so I would maintain it. The shift, left click and drag like so, move it here and release. It is currently without a fill, so we are going to fill it. So we click on the stroke and then we disable it. You click on the fill and then we go in for this color, okay, and then zoom in with option space and then left click and drag, okay, or control space on Windows here and then left click and drag to your right. So select, make sure that the rectangle shape tool is selected and then you deform it. Okay, so P for the pen to left click here, left click here, left click here, left click here, left click here to subtract that point, and then hold option on Alt or Windows and then left click. The same Alt or option, press down, left click, okay, to get that sharp edge. Okay, very good. Zoom out, zoom in, left click, Alt, okay, or option, press down, and then you'll be clicking. Zoom out, there we go. Okay, you have something like this, and I'll click on that rectangle layer to make sure that it's selected, and then create a new layer on top of it. U for the shape tool, and I'll change the stroke to, I'll disable the stroke, I'll expand the fill layer, the fill options, and then I'll select this color. Click here, U for the shape tool again, and then left click and drag here like so. Okay, to create this. Okay, zoom in. Okay, select it. Command T or Control T on Windows. Shift left click and drag upwards to distort. Shift left click and drag upwards to distort. Shift left click and drag this side to distort. Shift left click and drag downwards to distort, like so. Okay, so next step was my text. So I just press T for the text to, I type team in there and Control A, and then I change the color to white, and then I change the font style to Montserrat, like so, and then bold. Okay, I reduce the font size. Okay, mark action, Command T or Control T on Windows, Shift left click and drag like so. Okay, 90. Okay, you tilt it to an angle of 90 degrees. V for the move to move it here, Okay, like so. Zoom in. Okay, like that. Are we good? Okay, let me try sampling the color from here so that I achieve the exact thing. So I just zoom in, then I sample the color like so. Come in here and then select this, double click, and then click on this, the sampled color. Okay, double click on it and change this color from bold to extra bold. Okay, so that it becomes more clearer. Okay, all right, so we have this, and let's add our polygon, polygon. So we just right click on it and select polygon, hold shift and left click and drag like so. Okay, so initially you get this. Okay, and we can use these options here to edit it. Okay, so just going for something like this. Okay, and increase give it a star. Okay, make it a star, and then increase this. Okay, to give you something like so. Okay, like that. And this was the color I used. So in my case, in here I went in for 8, 90 and 46, 43.96. Okay, let me copy the color here. So 8, 90, 43.96. So 8, okay, and 43.96. Okay, like so. Okay. So let me add more. Okay, so 10 is fine, and then I'll double click on it, and then I would paste the color here for this, and there we go. Okay, so I typed in the date and everything. So the date, I just typed them. Okay, date is here, so just date and the time. Okay, just as you can see. Okay, just date and Command T to reduce the font size like so. Okay, and see Command T or Control T on Windows and increase the font size. Okay, and I applied this 3D swipe over here on Crazy. Okay, over here. This was how I was able to achieve this. Okay, let me copy the color here. So after creating this, okay, I created a new layer on top of it, and then group this first. Okay, and drag the layer on top of it. Hold Ctrl or G to clip mask, or Command Option G on Windows to clip mask, and B for the brush to click on this and paste the color that we copied on our clipboard. Go to OK. M. So this is the color. Okay. All right. You can screenshots. So M for the marquee. Shift or click and drag like so. Release shift to distort it, and then release. Option delete or Alt backspace on Windows, and Command U to deselect. Control D on Windows to deselect, and then position it like so. Okay. Double click on the polygon layer, go to stroke and select this inside in 2, okay, like so, or let me say 3. Okay, that was how I was able to achieve this. Okay, all right, as you can see. Okay, all right. So afterwards, I selected this layer, added the mask, and then B for the brush too, and I faded the top side of, okay, or the upper part of the 3D sweep, like so, to give me something like this. And the rest, we all just typed, so I just typed them. Just as I did the data, I just typed them, okay, just like that. So all these ones, okay, they were typed. You can type them, okay, like so, okay. So let me import them. Okay, I typed all of them, so I think there isn't much that I should waste time on trying to type everything. So these ones, I typed them, then I selected this, okay, A, and then drag over these points, and then, okay, move them down, okay, like so. And yeah, the rest were all just insertions. What next? Okay, this one, the venue. See, this is how I just typed. Okay, I typed it, okay, and then this, as you can see, okay, this one was, okay, a rectangle that I created, and I distorted the edges with the pen too. And this one was a triangle, okay, and I placed the triangle like over here, okay. So I just take the venue and I would import it, okay, like so, okay. So this particular area is not visible because of our subject's bottom part. So we fixed that one too as well, and that will be that. So select our subjects, and then like so, and then aim for the marquee to this time around, change from ellipse to rectangular marquee, and then drag over, and this is the layer. So select the layer, and then add the mask, okay. Or before adding the mask, just use the marquee tool and then drag over like so, and then add a mask, okay. So you're going to get this weird effect. So okay, command I to invert, or yeah, command I to invert our mask, or control I to invert our mask, okay. Make sure that the mask is selected before you invert, okay. Very good. This particular area goes away, and then now you can work on your titles, okay. So drag over everything. So let me first select the first one, move downwards here, hold shift, select this, command T, go to OK, transform, and then scale down, okay, like so, okay, move it down. So you scaled everything down like so, move everything down just like that, okay. Enter. Select our subject again, select its layer mask, aim for the rectangular marquee and drag over, and then Option delete or Alt backspace on Windows to hide those areas. Command D to deselect, or Control D on Windows to deselect. V, right click on this and then move it downwards like so, okay. Zoom in, Command T or Control T on Windows and increase the size a bit, okay. Create a new layer, make sure that you are outside everything, so somewhere here, okay, and create a new layer, and let's import this. This one too is a rectangle, and then I typed inside the rectangle, okay. So I will show you how I did that briefly. Let me first import. Maybe like so, okay. So what I did here was, the font style is Montserrat. So I type everything just like so, like devotion and then the time and the rest too. I did that. So if it is morning, we have morning service, we have evening service. So I typed everything. And when I was done, I varied the font width. You see, they are all Montserrat, but this is Montserrat black, okay? And this is Montserrat semi-bold, okay? Just to create hierarchy, or let's say order. Okay, sometimes hierarchy and order, they are very, very important when it comes to you trying to present details or information on your artwork. Okay, so that was what I did here to create variety and hierarchy at the same time. Okay, so that it adds up to the aesthetics of the overall artwork itself. Okay, so that was what I did here. Very simple. And with this one too, I just typed it. Okay, font is Dingen. I typed it and then I skewed it. Okay, I use skew to skew it this way because it was on a straight line just as all these ones are. So I use the skew option, then I skewed it just as I did for the convention test here. Okay, that was what I did. Okay, and these ones, I created these ones with the pen tool. Okay, so let me do it. Let me quickly illustrate. So P for the pen tool. Let me use any color. Okay, so left click. Okay, left click. Okay, and drag. Okay, hold Alt or Option to distort, and like so. Okay, Alt. Okay, distort, and Alt click or Option click, and then close here. Command backspace, Command enter or Control enter on Windows, and okay, Alt backspace to fill with your foreground color, or Option backspace, Option delete to fill with your foreground color on Mac and deselect. This was how I was able to create this one. So I created this and then Control G and Control G here, and then Command T, and then I flipped it vertically, okay, to give me this. Okay, and I tilted it this way. Okay, so this was this way, and I flipped it horizontally. Okay, so this was how I was able to create this. Okay, you see that, and I have the sessions in there. Okay, and I have the session in there. So this was how I was able to create this. And this one in here is just test. I just typed everything in there. Okay, just like that. And then the rest, I just imported them. Okay, these ones I typed them, so I will not waste my time, okay, on them too. Okay, so all these are the names. I typed them just like that. Okay, these ones were down. Okay, to scale them down. Let me just scale them down together a bit. Okay, that was basically what I did for this particular artwork. Okay, that's basically it. And then these ones were typed, so you see that I imported this. Okay, I typed it, then I flipped it. Okay, horizontally. Okay, so just a type. Okay, Control T. It was like this. Okay, it was like this at first. Okay, when I typed it, it was like this. Okay, I pressed Control T, held Shift, and then rotated it this way, and then marked the action, and then I moved it here. Okay, just like that. Okay, yeah, I think that is basically it. Okay, that's basically it. So yeah, that's basically it. That's basically it. Yeah. Then the date and these ones. make them bigger as well. Command T or Control T on Windows, like so. Okay, just as you can see. Okay, so thank you very much for sticking around. It's your boy Inferno here. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to leave any comment, any suggestion inside the comment section, and I will be ready to assist. So thank you very much once again for sticking around. Enjoy the week. Have an exciting week. It's your boy Inferno here. Peace out.